in this country, in Australia, since the first ships came, the treaty conversation has not properly been had. We're the only Commonwealth country that has never had one. We were tried to be killed off. We were, Australia had a genocide, they were poisoning our water and our rations, and they were herding us off cliffs and shooting us point blank, and we are continually dying as people of colour of this country, the First Nations people in custody, which is why we got so much support in Australia for Black Lives Matter. Silence is a contemporary dance work that explores the notion of a treaty in the response for Australia's relationship with its First Nations people and what a treaty could bring to First Nations Australia, or the creation of another agreement and conversation. It became a show saying we need to have meaningful conversations about how we repair the relationship between First Nations Australia, the sovereign people of this land, and the colonial government that has been established over the past 250 years. Because right now, blackfellas are down here. We are not equal. Curral is a Yugambeh, my grandmother's language word, that means everything. Because we at Curral will use everything we need to use to tell whatever story needs to be told. Focusing mainly on dance, we also use theatre, projection, animation, music composition, physical percussion to tell our story. And we started Curral to be a response to the lack of opportunities for First Nation artists. There isn't many opportunities to dance for First Nation choreographers, to tell First Nation stories.
This kind of work, the kind of work that Thomas makes, has not been possible before. And now he dares to think of it and dares to put it together. I think the audience is ready for this kind of work. The audience has become more sophisticated. They will recognise themselves in those works, and that's when art is at its most effective.
If you're Indigenous, doesn't matter whether if you're over in South Dakota or you're over in the Northern Territory or out southwest Queensland. It's the same old story.
There's the picture of former Australian Prime Minister Gough Whitlam handing sand back to Vincent Lingiari, and his people, they wanted their land back, and there was a moment where there was someone getting back their history.
That's his dust, that's his blood, that's his bone, that's his hair, and all his relatives and all his ancestors. You give that back to a Murray, a blackfella in Australia, and you give them back their life.
So that imagery is in the show. I mean, we do engulf the stage in dirt, in us reclaiming country, bringing it back in, and it comes in little pockets, and then it becomes a bit bigger, and then it starts to spread. And then there's a section about an Australian Football League player named Nicky Winmar, and he received a lot of racial vilification from playing, and he went into this game and he went up to this audience and he lifted up his top and he pointed to his skin to be like, yeah, I am a black person, and look what the hell I've just done here.
The brilliant Winmar has kicked
that was
his first goal of the game.
iconic. Every blackfella, in the country, just identified with that. We just felt so proud.
Traditional dance that I grew up dancing was that of my grandmother's people, which is the Minyabul people. You have an opportunity to see something you haven't seen before, because the movement style, the dance technique, is grounded in the oldest living culture that this planet currently has. We're an emerging company. We're not stopping there. We are looking at creating a network that gives the opportunities to tell our stories, both at our local level, inside of our communities, on the national level and on the international level by showcasing the strength and the tenacity that we have here, that we've been fighting with.
Any country where there's been a revolution knows about these things. They can see the parallels in their own countries.
We are strong black people from this country. We have stories to share. We will use whatever we need to use to tell whatever story needs to be told. We're here.